Hello, we're at the International Payments Summit 2013 in London, and I'm with Inneke Bussemaker from Rabobank. And Inneke, you've just been chairing a session all afternoon on a brave new world for payments. That sounds very dramatic. Tell us about this new world that you were talking about.
Well, the new world, I think we've been talking about it for a few years now, but it's coming closer and closer, and it is not that far away. So we started the session with a poll asking everyone in the audience what they thought was the most used payment method by retailers, consumers in 2020. And by far, the number one was mobile phone.
Mobile phone, right.
And as actually there was one other that just said other, and the question is whether by 2020 we will not have a payment method that will fall into that category other, because it's something that we have completely not even invented yet.
We won't have to pay
today.
for anything.
Well, we may not use a currency to pay. You know, who knows? We may barter everything that we want to buy and sell through social media over the internet.
So there's changing notions of what is value and how we transfer value.
Absolutely.
So these are used to be the province of theoreticians and economists and stuff, and are now coming into the practical everyday life of banks.
Of payments, and actually payments per se is maybe not a business going forward. Payments is part of a transaction between the buyer and a seller, and it is the transaction of the buyer and the seller, and payments is really only a minor or a point of minor importance to that transaction, but it needs to be there, and the question is how will it be there in the future.
And a lot of this, of course, is driven by very, very rapidly changing consumer models. It's not businesses.
No. It is the different consumer behavior where corporates, businesses will have to adapt to different consumer behavior. And I think if anything, most of the speakers told us this afternoon, it is going way faster and much faster than we would have thought about 5 or 10 years ago. I mean, the number of mobile phones, 2.4 billion mobile phones in a few years from now, and the way consumers use their mobile phones as a connection, as a channel to basically the world, the digital world, and the social media network will change consumer behavior completely.
But as you say, we've been talking about it for a number of years, and it is accelerating. One of the things that seemed to me in some of the sessions I was listening to was that there seems to be people are starting to understand their role in this brave new world. Absolutely. And they're starting to take up positions. Does that give you hope for that people are adjusting to?
Well, there were a lot of good messages this afternoon about banks are adjusting. Banks recognise that there is a new way out there, and they need to communicate with their consumers very differently. I was very pleased by one of the presenters this afternoon, Mark Curtis from Fjord, who basically said banks are a hotbed of innovation, and he gave lots of examples that how he works for large financial institutions who've all discovered that the internet and the social media are the best way for them to communicate with their customers. First of all, communicate, and secondly, then to provide relevant services to their customers, using the internet. So if banks start to understand and quickly adopt, absolutely, that will be the future.
Now, innovation is not something that banks and financial institutions often get credit for, so that's a good sign.
I thought that was quite a good sign.
Okay, well, when we do this again next year, I'll be really interested to see how much more it's moved. But for this year, thank you very much, Inneke. Thank you.